Yesterday's instance was kind of weird. Fortunately, it was the last flask that I was doing. If I am concerned about a flask being fussy, I will sometimes save it for last, because obviously if something goes wrong, you haven't screwed up the whole rest of the presentation. And this was the last flask. This is what I got out of it. I got out one good piece, two pieces that are fused together with metal there, and a couple of half pieces. So it just completely kind of blew apart. Can't show you the actual pieces because this is a custom piece and it's a surprise. So, of course, it happens with the piece that you have a deadline for. So I'm going to have to take a look and see what I could do with this. I have, I'll cut this off to verify that it's 100% good, but that one appears to be 100% good. And so does that one. So that's two good ones. My silver one came out fine. That seems to have cast perfectly fine. So I needed to do one silver one and several bronze ones. I think these are all 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 as a total. I need about a dozen, plus the silver one. So I'm going to have to recast again fairly quickly. What I will probably do, though, is finish these so I can do a partial delivery on those, because there is a deadline involved with those. Some of these things I don't have a deadline on, like this is for my own personal stock. These are, get some of the media out of here. This will just go back into the pot, so to speak, so that it could be used for cleaning up other things. These are just Celtic knot-shaped Viking leg wrap hooks. Ooh, that's a whole nother can of worms. A lot of cold climates, they wore leg wraps around their lower leg to add additional protection from thorns and the cold and the snow and all kinds of other stuff. And that's one of the ones. This one was actually found in Great Britain. Yeah, so out of 20 flasks, how many were a total fail? One of the silver ones, a total fail. And this, I just have no idea what went wrong there. Because I don't recall doing any pours that were iffy. Sometimes when you're pouring and your hand is not steady enough, the metal will not flow correctly. And I didn't see that happen with any of the silver ones I have. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the 4 silver ones. This one came out fine. And this is a mixed flask. It's got one of these things that I was telling you that I can't show you. A couple of those, actually. And then it's got a couple of other things. It's got a pelican medallion, actually 2 pelican medallions. And that came out pretty well. The buttons came out fine. Haven't had a chance to look at these guys. I think these are a mixed bag. Yeah, this is a mixed bag. A couple of these came out fine and a couple of them didn't. So that's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 Valkyries there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 are good. And don't show any problems that I can spot from here. There may be a piece probably wrong with that one. So at least 5 seem to be useful. Oh, no, that one's got a hole in it. And that's something that doesn't happen very often either. Let me see if I can show this piece here. There's actually a hole in here, right there. If I put something dark behind it, it'll probably show. Can you see the dot? Yeah, there's a dot in there where it's just literally a hole. That's very unusual. I won't say it never happens, but it very rarely happens. So something was going on a little bit, and I'm going to pretty much blame the investment for this. Like I say, I think it was too wet in here, and stuff didn't dry out as well as it should have. It happens. Lots of other pieces came out just fine. These double-sided pelican medallions came out great, and there's 6 of those there, so that's a good thing. These sell really well, so I have to really work to keep those in stock. The bronze Valkyries, 8 of them. I don't see any flaws from here. There's no holes. The loops are on the back, so that's a good thing, because I know I'm out of a couple of those. Same thing with this. This seems to be a complete pour. So it was a bit hit and miss yesterday, which is very unusual. I usually have an extremely high success rate. Things that never fail, like the crosses here. I'm not sure any of them actually succeeded. They looked like they had it first, but then I'm seeing the bottoms didn't cast completely, which is really weird. And I've got a couple of holes. So yeah, I would say that's a complete fail too. So I'll be writing this all down. Let me show you my book. See, it's magical and it says casting. It's an old spiral notebook I had from somewhere. Sometimes it'll have my kids' names in them or something like that. No, this one actually has me on it. But I have all the information on each piece. I have what's in each flask, what the number of the flask was, the actual math that I did to determine how much metal was needed for that one. These S's and T's tells me whether it was a short flask, a medium flask, or a tall flask. And then anything that's 20 or above is always sterling. So again, we have short, short, medium, tall. And this is the layout that was used in the actual burnout oven. So one of the things I'll be looking at is I'll be looking at these ones that are circled in red were sitting on top of the other flasks. I'll be looking at the ones that are complete fails to determine whether I can see any pattern. Like, was it only the ones on top that failed, or only the ones underneath that failed, or, you know, what was it? I don't think any of those patterns exist. I think that it was a combination of too much moisture in here and just maybe a little bit of fate, but mostly I think too much moisture. It was just the part of the back of the studio is currently flooded. So it's just wetter in here than it usually is, and I think things just didn't dry out quite right. And I have it all listed as to which batches, which things were cast in which batches. Sometimes you'll find that your metal in a particular batch did not get hot enough, and you'll get a total fail on that batch. So I know that number 5, for instance, failed. Well, did number 15 fail? No. 15 was the scallops. They cast beautifully. They were cast before the other one, which blew out. So if it was the metal being not hot enough, this wouldn't have worked. So it's a process of elimination, trying to figure out if you can tell. And sometimes you just can't tell. But I was talking with Henry last night because I was trying to remember when the last time I had a flask blow out. And we're guessing it's been 6 years. And it may even be longer than that, but I'm saying 6 as a good. At first I was thinking 3 or 4, and then I'm like, no, COVID, I didn't cast much during that. So I'm guessing it's probably been 6 years since I had a flask totally blow out. Now, sometimes you can hear, it makes a pop sound. And sometimes you can hear the flask crack. And then, if you're fast enough, you can flip off the machine and move the flask off of the top of the Vic 9, and basically nothing happens. The plaster will crack, but it won't have metal go down into the machine. Now, in this case, it was a double crack, which I don't actually remember anything doing a double crack before. And I was like a little startled by it, and I knew it was too late. I still turned everything off and looked to see what had happened. I knew what had happened. It was just a matter of how bad it was. The reality is I have to rebuild part of the machine. I had the spare parts, and we'll talk about that in another video, because I'll run through how the machine works and talk about filters and safety precautions that they've put in there to keep you from ruining your vacuum pump when something like this happens. But yeah, that's how it went yesterday. I'm not thrilled. It would have been really much nicer if this had come out, at least the things that I really needed had come out in the way I needed them to. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I'm going to get to work cutting some of these beasties off. And yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously there's going to be lots going on. I have another custom piece I need to work on besides this one, that I need to be working on the wax. Now, the nice thing about that is I can do some of that, the prep for that, on the computer, and then the layout and stuff like that, and then I can start carving that up at the house. I have a little table in the edge of the kitchen there that I carve wax on. The nice thing about that is I don't have to get this building heated up, or if I'm running noisy polishing machines, I don't have to listen to that while I'm doing the work down here. And it doesn't hurt the wax to be in the house. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt the house to have wax in it. So, you know, I got plenty of candles in there too, and it doesn't hurt a thing. So it makes it a nice kind of a, gee, I need to get some work done. Henry's working on something. I can work up at the house and still get some work done. But this stuff just plain needs to be cut off. So I'm going to get started on that. So until next time, bye. Oh, and keep brainstorming, because obviously we are.